Welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart, the podcast that tackles the challenges and triumphs of maintaining mental well-being in our everyday lives. I'm MommaFoxFire, and in today's episode, we're exploring a topic that many can relate to, and that's how to stay sane while living with partners in small spaces. Whether you're navigating the ups and downs of a tiny apartment or tiny house, a cozy studio, or even just a single shared room, living in close quarters with a partner can sometimes be a test of patience, communication, and self-care. But don't worry, we've got you covered with practical tips and insightful discussions to help you thrive in your shared space. In today's episode, I dive in with Jessica, Medina, and Amber to explore the challenges that arise from limited personal space, differing routines, and the need for alone time. These two share personal experiences and offer guidance on maintaining harmony, establishing boundaries, and fostering a healthy environment for both yourself and your partner. We explore strategies for effective conflict resolution, nifty gadgets for tiny living, and finding balance in shared responsibilities. From managing household chores to navigating personal routines, Jessica and Amber provide practical advice to create a peaceful and supportive living situation. Join us as we discuss the importance of self-care and personal time within the confines of a small space. Our guests share creative ways to carve out moments of solitude and relaxation, ensuring that your mental well-being remains a priority. So if you're feeling the pressure of close quarters and seeking guidance on maintaining a healthy relationship while living with your partner, this episode is for you. Get ready for an engaging and enlightening conversation that will help you embrace the challenges and find joy in the journey of cohabitation. Stay tuned for practical tips and inspiring stories, plus a sprinkle of humor to help you navigate the world of small space living on Even Tacos Fall Apart.
Yay.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another Mental Health Monday. I'm really excited to be joined today by two awesome guests. Y'all may recognize Jessica. She's been with us before. Jessica is a registered associate in marriage family therapist. License. Okay, let me change that because next time you come back, I usually just copy paste your bio.
Already.
I know.
Like next month is
That's crazy. She loves creating innovative and fun pop culture-based therapy interventions such as Roblox, Animal Crossing, and Inside Out. Jessica uses techniques like mindfulness, play, geek culture, and pop culture to explore the chaos that can be everyday life. She has extensive experience working with children, teens, adults, school-based counseling, trauma, anxiety, divorce, depression, OCD, grief, LGBTQIA+, alternative lifestyles, suicidal ideation, self-harm, and healing from difficult family dynamics. And relevant to tonight's topic for sure, she also has lived in a 700 square foot apartment with her partner. So very excited to have you back, Jessica, and that you're joined by Amber. And Amber is a badass military wife and fur mama who enjoys gaming, nerding out, and making deliciousness in the kitchen. She's been a gamer for 15 plus years and enjoys scaring the crap out of people as a haunt actor, which we're going to talk about, don't worry. She comes with 3 years experience sustaining her sanity and curating happiness while living with her husband in a 200 square foot fifth wheel, which is just, tiny for me at least.
Oh, it was so small.
Yeah, it sounds small for sure. So for those of you who haven't been here before, if you're wondering what the heck we're doing, we are going to be talking about living in small spaces tonight and maintaining your own sanity and your relationship. And we will have a question queue open. So that is one thing that I forgot to do. And I am talking a little slower than normal so I can type and pretend like I did it before. I'm going to go ahead and open that queue. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them into the chat. I will catch them, put them into the question queue, and we'll answer them for you. So really happy to have you both here. And thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you for having us. It's always super, super fun.
Yes, thank you. It's great to meet you finally.
Yeah.
I've heard great things.
Oh, that's good.
I talk about you all the time.
I'm so glad. I'm always happy when people are like, I've only heard good things. I'm like, excellent. Keep all the bad things behind closed doors. It's fine.
There you go.
So I'm going to jump right back to your bio, Amber, if you don't mind, because there's lots of things that we could talk about in your bio. But since it's October, I want to hear about being a haunt actor. What is that? What does that mean? And what do you do? And what do you love about it?
Oh my goodness, that's so much. My husband and I started scare acting a year before I met my husband. And every year after that, up until 2020, we have always been a part of some sort of big haunt. We've worked with places like RC Haunt and Coffin Creek, and were Castle Dark last year in Riverside. Nothing this year, though.
Nothing this year?
But nothing this year. We're on the other side of the country, so.
I gotcha. So what do you love about doing that kind of thing?
Oh, people's reactions. You get the ones that think that they have to prove something to their friends, and they get so scared so easily. It's fun to watch them. What's the best one? My husband once had a kid tuck and roll out of the maze, and they couldn't get him up for 30 minutes because of how scared he got from the chainsaw.
Oh my gosh! Oh wow. Yeah, because once you're out of the maze, it's like there's a chainsaw guy ready. That's fun. I love haunted houses. I don't think my 8-year-old is ready for a haunted house, but 15-year-old and I might go to a haunted house this year.
Always. That's always a great place.
It's a lot of fun. And we're down in Waxahachie, which is right near where Scarborough Renaissance Festival is. And in October, they do Screams instead. So it's instead of the whole Renaissance Festival area is turned into like a haunted, it's not a haunted house, it's like a haunted area. Which is great.
You have street actors.
Yes, yeah. So, do you have? You mentioned before that you don't really have a serial killer or true crime story, but that you love mythology. What is one of your favorite mythology-related tales, or gods, or goddesses, or anything like that?
The Kelpie.
Ah, yes. You want to explain a little bit of what that is and some of the tricksiness?
Well, I don't necessarily know a lot about Kelpies in general. I tend to listen to the podcast Spirits and Spirits. Thank you, bestie. But my favorite fact has to be the fact that the Loch Ness Monster is actually considered a Kelpie.
Really?
Interesting.
Huh.
I like that.
I don't know much about them. I just go through and listen to the podcasts but
I like podcasts. Not that I'm biased or anything, but sometimes, when I used to be like corporate work or used to work out, I would listen to like murder podcasts, and it's extra fun if you're driving in your car and you're at a red light. And it's like, and then I dismembered his head, then I ripped off his arms and decorated my apartment with his entrails, and then people are just looking at you like, it's great. It's fantastic.
Do you have a favorite murder podcast? I don't think we've talked about that before. We've talked about like true crime and everything. I don't think we've talked about which is your favorite murder podcast to listen to.
It's been a long time since I've listened to one. I mean, I love all the true crime ones. For those that know me, y'all know that I am the physical embodiment of chaos. And I got into this field because I love morbidness. The Museum of Death is one of my favorite places. I literally eloped in the middle of a cemetery. I got issues.
Love that so much.
But I like And That's Why We Drink. That one's one of my favorites. It's a mix of true crime with haunting stories, so I get the best of both worlds. But I forgot the name of it, but there was one that explored like serial killers, where it would focus one episode specifically on serial killers. And I remember that was one of my favorite things to listen to when I was studying for my exam, because I would try to guess the pathology of the serial killers based on what I knew, and I'd always be right. And it would explore like a psychoanalysis of the serial killers. And for me, it was like a fun little fucked up game. But I mean, that's my thing. I love murder shit. I love true crime. The more fucked up, the better. Honestly.
I usually listen to My Favorite Murder while I'm cooking dinner. And my youngest, my 8-year-old, hates cuss words. Like I don't cuss extra around him or anything, but like every now and then one will slip out and he'll be like, Mom. But this podcast, I mean, they cuss left and right. And so every time he's like, oh, you're listening to that podcast.
You should definitely not listen to mine then.
He'll put his headphones on and be like, I'm just going to watch YouTube for a little while. Put his headphones on to watch YouTube. It's so cute. It's so funny. But my 15-year-old has the true crime bug as well. So he likes to watch the interviews, like police interrogations.
That's my shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to do that. I wanted to be a criminologist for the longest time. And
that's cool.
I don't know, an abnormal psych class grabbed me first. I think if I actually went into like a criminology class first, I would have stayed there. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
Yeah, that's cool. So we're going to move into a little bit of the topic tonight, but I want to start with you, Jessica, because I know that you just moved and there was a little bit of drama around moving. So what was the hardest part of moving for you?
Well, we only had, Bestie, it was like 1 week, right?
I believe so. It was like maybe a week and a half.
Okay. For those listening, Amber's my best friend. I love her. She's also my maid of honor. Yeah, it was like a week and a half, and we were kind of in the talks of like, yeah, we'd like to move in the future. For those of you who don't know, I was in a 1-bedroom apartment and with my significant other and 2 dogs. And my therapy office was the corner of my dining room that I converted. So like we didn't really even have a dining room. We didn't really have a lot of space at all. And the hardest part for me was moving everything in such a short amount of time with having a back injury. So it was knowing I had very limited amounts of time. And what sucked is our landlord said, yeah, you can move several days in advance. Then at the last minute, they're like, yeah, it's not ready yet. Never mind. And a lot of the stuff was out of my control. And being someone with autism, I do not react well to a loss of control or change. And it was nothing but that. Yeah. So it was a lesson on patience. I mean, even our movers, I mean, we've decided to get movers, but we still had to pack some of our stuff too. But even our movers got towed. Like pretty much everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. We didn't have a working dishwasher for the longest time. Like my air vents are upside down. We still have a lot of stuff that's not completed. But I think that was the hardest part. And like I know my spouse and we fought a lot because of it. And all that change, that was the hardest part of not taking it out on each other when we couldn't control the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So flipping it a little bit, what's your favorite part about your new space? Not about moving, because moving sucks all around.
Yes, I freaking love my office. Okay, so you can't see my desk, but it's adorable. I have a really super cute light up keyboard that's like rainbows, but it's like kind of like raindrops. My background, I made it. It's a cute pink background with a little ghost and bats, and it says, "It's freaking bats. I love Halloween." I have like a cute rainbow lamp. Can't really see the rainbowness, but I have.
I love that it's a moon.
It's a little moon. It's super adorable. And then I decorated this room. It's supposed to be like woodland fairy vibes, but above me is little mushies that I put on there.
Yes.
And there's like little plants, and then I have a 6-foot beanbag right in the corner with squishmallows. So my room is like a cute little my space, my escape. And before I didn't have that, which it sucked. Like I couldn't just turn off the light, shut the door, and go back to everyday life. Like I was constantly seeing my office. So being able to have a space where I can come in and relax and shut the door when I'm done. It's so much easier to kind of separate from work and have my own little space. It's badass.
Really good. I love it. I love your office. It's great.
It's amazing.
So I hate though that you moved way after me and I see no boxes behind you like I still have behind me.
Oh no, I am like, that's my downfall. I have no off switch. Like when Amber was staying with us during the whole military move and everything, like she had to yell at me to take a break. But I will work through it. Like I have no off switch. You have to yell at me to actually sit.
Yeah.
So
I will say, like, there aren't very many boxes, and I think the only boxes, I think there's one box in the dining room, and then there's some boxes of books because I'm a book dragon. And then the only other boxes that remain are only in my spaces. So like my bedroom still has stuff and my office still has stuff, and that's it. We've gotten to where it's just like boxes of books and my stuff.
Hey, every time you're in, therapist tip, every time you're in that room, try to unpack 5 items from that box. Yeah. That's it. Just 5 items. And then before you know it, that box will be unpacked.
See, and that's what I did with my kids. I was like, okay, go unpack 10 things out of one box. Mm-hmm. Not a whole box, just like 10 things out of this box. And well, I didn't do that with the 15-year-old because he can self-manage. But with the 8-year-old, it was just like, you don't have to do the whole box. Just go do 10 things. And then you can go next door and see if McKinley's home. Like, no problem, So, but his room is perfect now. I need a mom to do that with me. So what's the smallest space each of you has lived with a partner in? Was it that apartment for you? And then Amber, was it the 200 square foot RV, I'm assuming, for you?
Mine, a shared space? No. I've lived in 2 other places with my husband. Both of them were shared spaces. One of them, I don't remember the dimensions, but it was a 2-bedroom apartment that we shared with his cousin and his 2 goddaughters. So there was 4 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment that was not big at all. At all. I want to say it was like less than like 700 square feet for all 4 of us. And then we lived with my parents for a while, but since my parents' dynamic is we mainly just stayed in my room or in our room for the most part. It was my childhood room that we were able to paint and renovate before we moved in. But that room was super small. And like it was just a room that we had our stuff in, and we had like a shed in my dad's backyard that I put like my therapy stuff since I was working from home. I had a lot of stuff from when I was in person at the schools pre-COVID. So I want to say, I don't know the exact dimensions, but it was basically like a bedroom at my parents' house. We didn't have the rest of the house. We could use it, but honestly, we were really just to our bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think whenever you live with someone else, it's really hard to feel like those spaces are your spaces also. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that requires a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight as far as getting along and specific strategies and that kind of thing. So that probably counts. So, Amber, how did you and your partner decide to live in an RV?
Well, he really wants to. He was a carpenter at the time, and he really wanted to buy the land and build a house that we could both enjoy. And so he was like, "Let's get a 5th wheel and save up." And then 2020 happened.
Yeah. So how long did y'all live in that RV together?
It was almost 3.5 years.
Wow. That's a long time. Yeah. Did y'all have any good adventures at least while you were in the RV?
Well, when we first got it, we did take it. We were in the mountains above Six Flags, and there's like an off-roading area over there.
Uh-huh.
And so because it was a 5th wheel, he doesn't have a truck, so his dad would take it out there for us every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I have so many good memories there.
Oh, that's good.
But just living up in the mountains like every day was nice. Mm-hmm.
I like that flexibility,
Right?
That's what I wanted to do with my husband, is buy that land, get an RV, now after having more space, I'm like, oh, I want to do that, but
it's really hard, I feel like, to go from more space to less space. Like even I went from a 5-bedroom house to a 3-bedroom house. We had a 5-bedroom house because it was necessary at the time. Necessary being relative, because there were 4 kids. And so now that there's only 2 kids, like it made sense to go down to a 3-bedroom house. But I still had so much stuff to get rid of.
oh yeah.
And it was, even that was difficult. I can't imagine going from a house to an RV, an apartment to an RV.
Yeah, like Amber had
change.
a really nice house up near Six Flags. That it was nice up in the mountains, beautiful view.
It was on the side of the mountain itself, overlooking the whole town.
Oh my gosh,
so pretty, spacious too.
So how did you make what was your process for making those decisions of what all am I going to get rid of to now live in this RV while we build this other house?
We got rid of all of our big furniture except for like we had a really nice bed set. We got a couple tables as gifts and we kept those. All the other big furniture, no. You just can't take it.
Right.
And I mean, it's pretty much essentials on what you can take with you.
Absolutely.
So we ended up with storage too, though. So
storage was so essential, especially when I moved out with mine. We moved from, living in our own place separately living with our parents to living together in just a room in a shared space. We had to get a storage unit, and it was absolutely essential. We had way too much shit. Like, you don't realize how much shit you have until you move.
Yeah.
You really don't.
That's true. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents went on a great adventure. They lived on a sailboat for like 5 years.
Ooh.
And they went from having a house that we had lived in for 20 years to living on a sailboat. They sold the house and gave some stuff to me, some stuff to my sisters, put some stuff in storage with my other sister. So their process, my mom, much like me, is a spreadsheet gal. So she had massive lists and did all this research of what she was going to need and everything. So yeah, now my sister's actually living in a fifth wheel as well. They went from a house to an apartment and now to a fifth wheel, which is, they're making it work, but I do not envy all the decisions that they had to make to do that.
It's hard.
Yeah. Were there things that brought you joy or that you loved about living in tight quarters with another person?
Me?
Both of you.
Oh.
I like morbidity and murder, so being able to think about murder every day. No, I'm just kidding. But sorry, Mom, I didn't realize you were drinking at the same time.
That's what I've always said, because when I was married, my parents went on this sailing adventure, and I said I would never be able to do it because you can't just walk away. He would be overboard so fast. Bye, there's a shark, go make friends.
It sounds like me. Totally sounds like me. Hey, look, babe.
Yeah, right.
Have fun.
See ya. Can't stop the sailboat. The wind picked up.
Right, sorry. I suddenly lost the anchor. My bad, fam.
Right. At least in RV you can get out.
Right. I love my husband to death. What brought me joy was being forced to communicate. Being forced to communicate. And I know, living with my parents, we got triangulated quite often. So it was less about the living quarters itself. It was more about living quarters with other people. Yeah. And then once we moved out on our own into the 700 square foot, we were forced to share living quarters. So we were forced to delegate responsibilities, to have ongoing conversations. So I liked that. We are better able to communicate. And what I liked, my love language is physical affection. definitely. I'm a hugger. I love being touched. So being able to have a room that we shared when we lived with other people, we didn't have like a couch or something in our room. We were forced to sit on the bed together if we were chilling in our room watching TV. So we were forced to cuddle. And it was really nice for me to kind of have that forced affection, as horrible as that sounds. But it was really, really nice for me to have that space that's just for us. Despite the chaos in the house, it was nice to have that little space.
Absolutely.
But also our dogs, the animal fur babies make everything so much better.
Fur babies bring a lot of joy, that's for sure. How about you, Amber? Anything that brought you joy about living in a small space with a partner?
Just the learning experience as a whole. Like, even my husband has said, right before he went into basic, he had made a comment about how much closer we were from living there for so long and becoming so good at communicating with each other.
I second that. I saw your guys' growth too with that. You guys seriously got way closer. It was a beautiful thing to see from a distance.
He's still annoying though.
I think no matter how much you love someone, there will be something that's annoying.
Oh God, yes. We're both married to Libras. I don't know about your spouse, Mama, but we are both married to Libras, and oh my God, are they identical sometimes? It's infuriating. We played a card game with them once. I am never putting them on the same team again. Never. No.
What happened?
Chaos is what happened.
I gave up.
It was having those two on a team, like going back and forth. It was a game. I want to say it was Super Fight, where you have to argue why for something. Having two Libras on the same team arguing why behind something, you're not going to win.
I believe they were arguing about an astronaut winning.
Yeah. It was,
I don't remember what the other one was.
It was some whack shit, but yeah, lesson learned. Our husbands together is a very scary thing.
My ex was an Aries and I'm an Aquarius. And it was not pretty. I should have known. Listen to the star signs, y'all. I mean, they make a difference.
They really do.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bite said, my internet is still not great, but I will watch the VOD because I definitely want to hear this one. Will ask before I go, what is your favorite poem? And I know that Jessica probably was expecting that question because Bite asks it all the time. But Amber, do you have a favorite? Ready. Do you have a favorite poem?
Unfortunately, I do not. Not right now.
That's okay. So.
I knew this question was coming. But
I know.
I'm not ready. Shit. All right, hold on. I will be ready. Hold on. What is this poetry book? Oh. All right. Hold on. Oh, that's way too long. No. Oh, come on.
Oh, Bite, I didn't realize that he was an Aries. You're like late phase Aquarius, though. Or early. I'm late. It's different. Our two Aquariusnesses are different.
Ooh. Okay. I switched to a random one. So this is one of my favorite poets. I haven't opened this one in a minute, but this is The Sun and Her Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
I have like most of her poetry books. But I made change after change on the road to perfection, but when I finally felt beautiful enough, their definition of beauty suddenly changed. What if there is no finish line? And in an attempt to keep up, I lose the gifts I was born with for a beauty so insecure it can't commit to itself. The lies they sell.
Ooh, I like that one.
Deep.
Yeah,
I love her poems. I mean, a lot of them are very sexual. It's about body exploration and self-healing. But some of the poems, like she has one all about mental health and healing. And that one was the one where it was the parade. I forgot the poem, but it was about basically like I would have a parade for myself.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So good. Bite Mark said another excellent poem entry. Absolutely. I know I need to make a poetry page of just all the poems that people have recommended.
Oh, for real?
That would be
That
good.
would be fantastic.
We talked about at one point having like a serial killer board, but then I felt like that was too...
No.
I felt like it was too... I don't know.
I don't know. I don't care what the next word is.
Nope, it's not do anything.
No. Nope, do it. I will help you with that. Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So when you were living together with a partner, we talked about, no matter who you're married to, there are always going to be little idiosyncrasies with a partner. And in a small space, I feel like those are definitely magnified. So were there any devices that you would recommend to make things easier or more comfortable living in a small space with another human being?
Video games.
Ah, yes.
Video games. No, for real. I mean, when we're arguing sometimes, like for me, when we get in an argument, it's hard for me to connect back to that lovey feeling. You know what I mean? Like if you argue, like all I ruminate on is how much I want to strangle him. So it's hard to go from that to I love you. Like I really marinate in that anger. So, and I know, like in that moment, I'm like, I'm angry and I can't let it go. So what helps me is brutally murdering him online. And it helps having that shared space where we're forced to communicate. But I also get to shoot him in the face in the game. I mean, it's catharsis, probably totally unhealthy. I'm aware as a clinician the irony behind it. No, I'm not homicidal, I promise. I love my husband dearly. But having games like the Switch or having the PS5 and being able to game together was helpful. But also the biggest thing that helped me, him and I have very different tastes sometimes in TV shows and movies. And if you're in a small space and you're limited to the entertainment you can do, and I mean, typically we were binging streaming services, right? We didn't pay for cable. We didn't have a huge space, right? So we just did streaming services, and we would argue all the time about what to watch, all the time. And it started becoming monotonous. And that's when we were fighting, when we weren't doing things that were, what's the word? New, right? We weren't diversifying it. So we created a whiteboard list of 20 different shows that we were curious about. Maybe we wanted to finish, but we haven't watched it in like 6 months because we're both neurodivergent as fuck and keep picking new TV shows and never finishing it. So we made a list of 20 different shows and we roll a D20 whenever we're like, okay, we finished the show, we're caught up, what do we watch now? And we did that with food too. And we also settle every argument. I know it's not a gadget or item, but to us it is. But any disagreement, anytime there's something that both of us don't want to do, whether it be taking the dogs downstairs or whatever, we rock, paper, scissors it.
That's
every
great.
time.
Yeah.
And it works. It works. We've used that for years, honestly, and it's fantastic. Yes, it's not a gadget or an item, but that was absolutely.
Yeah, well, but it's something that helps you make things easier, more comfortable. So that
absolutely
works. Yeah,
absolutely.
Amber, how about you? Was there anything that you would recommend, like noise canceling headphones or something like that, to help with living in a small space?
Well, the headphones is a great one. Video games are also good, but when you're in as small of a space as what we had, and we had to have all the essentials, like there wasn't really room for a lot of extras. And me and my husband, we enjoy everything the same. So we just had the one TV, but your own space. That is one of the biggest things. I know it's not an actual item, but your own space is like a must.
Oh, so key. Absolutely key.
I don't even know how to explain it. That's just like the main thing for us.
Something uniquely yours.
Mm-hmm.
We're both like very low maintenance, so we're like super happy about the smallest things.
That's good. That's good because I mean, if you're unhappy about the smallest things, that's a problem.
Right.
True.
Bite says sometimes you just want to see how many spears you can get to stick out of their face at the same time in a game. Although she does that when she's just bored, or if I'm not paying attention, she'll throw spears at me and see how many she can get to stick in my face when I'm not paying attention.
Or for me, I just wander off and get myself killed on a regular basis.
Yeah. We don't talk about that, though.
Bite's a healer, though, so she won't get herself killed. She'll just, like, bring all the things to kill everyone else.
Get all the aggro.
Yes, bring all that aggro over here. So, did y'all have, like, a favorite non-relationship related item that really helped you with tiny living in general? Like, sometimes you see even something as simple as, like, a whiteboard calendar or something. Just
Whiteboard.
favorite all around, yeah. Whiteboard, for sure.
Whiteboard, absolutely key. I would always jot down things I needed help with at the end of the day, or I would write down things I need to get done. But if you have a little bit more space and you are not a fan of, like, if chores are hard, I like getting the different things, like different gadgets that made chores easier for us. Like for me, having my own portable washer and dryer was key. We don't have washer and dryer hookups, but for my back, not being able to go downstairs and upstairs, that was key. That's more in my newer place. It's a little bit bigger, but like Amber said, having things that had multiple uses was key for us. But honestly, little gadgets that do the cleaning for you was huge, because we would argue all the time about chores not being done. And for me, the biggest pain point was I was always home. I was always working from home. So no matter where we lived, there was always arguments about pulling weight with chores. And I was home in our tiny space. So it was very easy to get cluttered. It was very easy to start feeling that resentment of, oh, I'm seeing this mess all day long. You don't have to. It's bugging me more. So being able to get something like a small Roomba or a little mop thing or a handheld, the vacuum thing, because we had dogs. They're messy and gross. But having those things on hand to immediately clean it up before it becomes an issue in such a small space was key. But also having like the Dawn dish spray, love that shit. You don't have to scrub and scrub and scrub for hours, and it's small and compact. You can keep that on your sink, but things like that made it so much easier. So much easier.
That Dawn dish spray, so
fucking love it.
Before we moved in here, I had just discovered Dawn dish spray, but as soon as Bite actually introduced me to it, as soon as she introduced me to it, like, everyone started suggesting it for everything. Oh, your son spilled something on his shirt? You should use Dawn dish spray for that. Like, everything.
Wait, what?
So, yeah.
Really?
Yes. So if you get like a greasy spill or something on your shirt, if you spray it with Dawn dish spray real quick, and then whenever you throw it in the washer, it's just gone. It's great. It's amazing. Like, it's a magical thing. So whenever we renovated a whole lot of this, right? We renovated a lot of this house. One thing we kept was our kitchen cabinets. These kitchen cabinets were covered in probably 20 years of grime. They were nasty. So we got some of those magic eraser things. Mm-hmm. And we started, my sister and I both, at the same time, started working on that. And it was just taking forever. And then we were like, okay, what if we use Dawn dish spray and just spray it, let it sit? Literally one wipe got everything off. I was like, oh my God.
I'm going to go spray my walls. We live in a house where a guy was a chronic smoker for years. You know what? That was probably the hardest part about the move. My house smelled like a casino. We're still dealing with it to this day, but I have like wax smells. Like, my house smells like a fucking Yankee candle. Like, every room, it's like a scent journey. Every room has a different scent. But if any of y'all listening have any tips on getting tobacco out of the house, I've tried every tip. I've followed what Betsy said as well. But it's like an everyday thing that I have to keep up on it, just trying to get all the scents out. It's terrible, and I hate it.
I gotta send you that recipe for the baking
soda.
Send
you that recipe because this house smells weird.
That's a bummer. So, Amber, how about you? What do you have any gadgets or things that just made tiny living easier, not necessarily relationship related, but tiny living related?
Well, we had solar panels on ours, even though it was like technically hooked up to electricity. And as Jess said, the washing machine. Being in the fifth wheel and not having somewhere to wash your clothes is one of the worst things to deal with.
Did y'all get one of those little washing machines? Yeah.
Yeah, one of the just the itty bitty ones with the little spin cycle on its own side.
Yeah. That's
and
cool.
Then I honestly, the only thing I regret about it is the fact that I should have gotten a bigger one, because his construction like work clothes terrible in that little thing.
Oh yeah.
There's some neat ones on Amazon. I mean, I just got one that hooks up to a sink faucet. You need a little bit more, but it's like a me size. Granted, I'm like 5'1". I'm not really tall, but it's like me size, and it fits a load of laundry. It washes pretty freaking good. They have some decent ones on Amazon.
You have the good one, Jess.
I have the good one. It was a pretty penny, but it's worth it. Honestly, I mean, that's my biggest word of advice. If you're going to invest in something for your tiny space, make sure you do your research and make sure that it's good quality too. It's going to make a difference.
And the multi-uses.
Multi-uses for sure.
I would imagine quality matters a lot more than it does anywhere else.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So what was the most frequent thing y'all disagreed on with your partners that caused disruption in these smaller spaces?
Chores.
Yeah.
Always chores.
Well, there's a bigger impact, right? If something doesn't get done, it's way more noticeable.
It's way more noticeable. I mean, since moving into a bigger place, I can definitely comment on that. But chores have always been hard. I mean, we're both neurodivergent too, so we do have to look at mental health and how it plays an impact. But on weeks where, say, my depression symptoms were worse, or his rejection sensitivity was worse, or his executive dysfunction was worse, like it was really hard to come to an agreement. So that caused a lot of disruption in our place, like a lot of disruption. And we had a lot of arguments surrounding that. And it wasn't until Amber came over and stayed with us for a bit while her husband was going into basic that our house and everything got like real organized. Like she reconned the crap out of our place. It was amazing. Forever grateful for that. But our disagreement really was on the chores, the divided responsibilities, because when you are in a tiny space, you're right, clutter is definitely more apparent. And it can get messy real quick, and pretty soon you're hurting yourself because you're stumbling over things, or you're hurting yourself emotionally because you're holding this resentment on it being dirty. So having a very crystal clear like conversation of who's responsible for what made things so much easier. So much easier.
Yeah. How about you, Amber?
Just the fact of like not once again, the not having your own spaces was like a big thing for us, because it was just all one room, to the point that I ended up moving into the bedroom at the front of the fifth wheel while he had his computer in the back, just to be able to have some sort of space between us.
Yeah.
And Jess is also right about the mess, because the smaller the space, the bigger the mess looks. Like I would cook one dinner and it would look like the sink was just overflowing with dishes from days, and it was a single meal.
Absolutely.
I think those were probably the two worst things about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everything just has a bigger impact in a smaller space. So that tracks. Do you think that you fought more with your partners when you were living in a smaller space versus when you've lived in a bigger space?
Exponentially. I can say that as someone who just moved as well. I can see the difference. But even my therapist pointed out, she's like, you haven't brought up a single argument in like 3 weeks. I'm like, wonder why. But it definitely, I did fight more. And a lot of it for me was being home with the clutter all day long. We also had, in the smaller spaces we lived, we did have other people. But those arguments were surrounding clutter as well. Those arguments were surrounding chores. And we definitely did fight more because like Amber said, it's important to have your own space. Mm-hmm. And I noticed in those places where we didn't have our own space at all, like at my parents', I didn't have my own space at all. At our other place in Anaheim, we did not have any space at all. So we noticed we were trying to spend more time outside of the home, exponentially more time outside of the home. But that was hard trying to have the spontaneity as well. Yeah. And at our other place, we were home more because we didn't have a lot of finances due to COVID and all of that. But I did have my own space, which was the balcony. I had my little altar out there. So it was helpful having my own little space. And he had the room, but it's still like he wasn't able to come out to the kitchen when I was working because my office was there. So it was a lot of dancing around each other. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of trying to find out where to put what. And then I'd get pissed off that things were just left out, but he didn't know where to put it because there was no place to put it. So there was just a lot of tension.
Yeah. How about you, Amber? Do you think that you fought more with your partner when you were living in a smaller space?
Honestly, I'm going to go completely opposite of Jess and say no. The smaller the space, the less the less we had to leave each other, like the less area there was to like get away from each other, unless we went for, say, a walk. And so we had to learn to deal with each other's problems real quick because we don't like fighting. So
absolutely.
It was just we had to go through little at a time with both of our problems to be able to work through everything. And he actually made a comment before he went to basic about us becoming closer because of it. So.
And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning, where it's just back to you're forced to communicate more. And whether that causes some friction or if it causes friction that is quickly resolved and then not friction anymore, I think it could go either way. It could definitely go either way. So that's interesting. You talked about, Amber, kind of taking a walk whenever you get into maybe a more heated moment. Do you have any recommendations for mental exercises or physical exercises if you're able, if you're not living on a sailboat and you can go take a walk? Do you have any recommendations for things to do when things get a little bit more heated?
Just find a quiet space. That's what when my husband used to get up at like 3 a.m. to go into work, 2 a.m. And I would help him get up. I get his lunch. And then I would sit for a couple hours just in complete quiet with all the windows open. And it was just dark. And it was amazing. Like the quiet time is the most essential, in my opinion.
I second quiet time. My hub got up at 4:00 before he got the new job before he moved, and having those hours to myself to do my morning routine, to smoke a bowl or to watch YouTube, do whatever I wanted to in those mornings. Lately, it's playing Borderlands with besties, but so much fun. But being able to have those moments to kind of breathe in the morning and not have the obligation of cleaning and having the house nice. I mean, that's what I do a lot. I do work from home, but I found a way to take the pressure off myself, which is doing whichever ones I have spins for. We used to have a detailed chore chart, and that got exhausting. It really did. As much as it helped, it got exhausting. So now I'm just like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to let myself build up resentment of, oh, I did his chore because he couldn't. If I don't do it, it's not going to get done, which was my thinking for a while. Mm-hmm. And because we lived with other people, I would get yelled at if it didn't get done. And so I would do it. So I didn't get yelled at, but that led to a lot of resentment. So now I'm like, you know what? If I have the spins for it, I'll do it. If not, I'll ask for help at the end of the day. And now we have a system where before he comes home, he'll be like, hey, what do you need help with? Instead of, what do you want me to do? It's what can I help you with? And that has helped a lot. But for me, the mental exercise, being able to walk away. Mm-hmm. Now, doing that with a partner with rejection sensitivity is hard. Yeah. We're both the same way. If he walks out, I'm like, oh, you don't. And it's hard. We get very, very heated. But what helps me is setting a timer of like, you know what, like I'm gonna go play some Animal Crossing for a bit. Like, why don't we come back in like an hour and try talking again? But what also helps is to sit down and remind ourselves that we're having a discussion, not an argument, and that we can put the dragon away because it's a town hall meeting, not a war. So actively, that mental exercise of, hey, like, what the fuck are we doing? We're not arguing. Let's have a conversation and let's game plan because we're not here to fight. Neither of us want to fight.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the mental exercise for me of just immediately reframing of like, okay, what are we even doing? Like, let's just let's talk. Let's game plan. This is where I'm coming from. This is my perspective. And being able to clarify like, oh, okay, yeah, I took that the wrong way. Or no, you completely misunderstood what I was trying to convey. This is what I was trying to get from it. That helps more than anything for us.
Mm-hmm. I love the idea of the timer too. Just the reframe is great, making sure that you're both on the same page and that you both have the same perspective. But sometimes you do need a break. And setting a timer saying, I will be back in 30 minutes. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to play a video game. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to sit in silence. Whatever it is, you know, I'm going to think about it. Like, I'm a thinker, you know, I need to process information before I respond to something, especially if it's a significant something. I need to process, because if I just gut react, it's not going to be pretty. So I need that time. And as long as you're communicating that and you say, okay, I need 30 minutes and then we're going to come back to this. It's not an end. I'm not ending the discussion. I'm just going to take some time. I like that a lot. I think that's something that would be really helpful. Was there ever anything, we've talked kind of the whole night, that everything in a small space is more intense. So was there ever anything that your partners or you wanted to keep or bring into your small spaces that didn't make sense to you or to them?
Great question. For me, I've always had extra storage, thankfully. But as a therapist, I went from school-based counseling where I had to provide all of my stuff to telehealth, solely telehealth. So I wanted to keep, for me, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense in the long run, and I should have and I did get rid of quite a lot of it, but I wanted to keep all of my games, all of my craft stuff. I wanted to keep all of that, but it made no sense because I wasn't going to be seeing clients in person for the time being. And even now I see like one client in person. It's been almost 3 years since then. Oh my God, 3 years since the start of COVID. Holy shit.
Isn't that crazy?
Mind blowing. But there wasn't really anything I could think of that we really wanted to keep that didn't make sense. I mean, my husband has a lot of guitars that he wanted to bring with him. They're still at his parents' house, but at that time it didn't make sense to have them in our room, like his amp, his electric guitar, things like that. But off the top of my head, I can't think of anything like huge that we wanted because we've, like Amber said, we've only really had the essentials, which was a bed, a dresser, a TV, clothes, things like that. But I know we wanted to keep a table, like a really nice table set, and we ended up not keeping it. I have the table out on my balcony right now, and ironically, the top of it's like peeling. But no, there wasn't really anything that we really wanted to keep that didn't make sense because we already had that mindset of like, you know what, we're not going to have this space. Let's not accumulate really, really big things.
Yeah. How about you? With the just keeping or bringing anything into your small space that you kind of looked and went, huh?
Well, when we first moved in, because we went from such a big place to so small, there was actually two things that both, one from each of us, that was confusing. We were like, why are you bringing that? For me, it was his computer. I was like, we're not going to be here that long. You don't need to set all that up. We don't need internet. No, he ended up getting a whole setup going in there, and he enjoyed himself. And then for him, it was he couldn't understand why I had all the squishmallows.
I fucking love squishmallows. I will die on this squishmallow mountain. I got my husband into it, and now he's randomly buying me them. And I blame Amber.
It's the same way with mine because now he's like, those are the best pillows in the world.
Right?
I will never go back.
Seriously,
What are
for those listening-
Squishmallows?
Oh my god, hold on.
Yoda. In the background, it's Yoda.
Okay, so we have.
Oh my god! Look at all of them. That's
This
amazing.
isn't even like a portion of the Squishmallows I have, but Amber's collection.
I have
doesn't
like
exist
50
anymore.
Squishmallows.
I have Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's from
Yes.
Costco.
She got
Costco. I know it's too. It's amazing. But the giant ass ones, the 20-inch ones, are at Costco. Some of them are hard to find. I had to fight a small child for this. Some of them. I'm not joking. That's a sad part. I yanked it out while he wasn't looking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Fight for what you
I feel
want.
that. It was mine, damn it. I'm paying for it. But they have these smaller ones at Target. They're super cute. This one has
That
the
is
little tail.
cute.
Walgreens has those ones too.
Walgreens has them. I have this one.
Are they
Super
really
cute.
soft, or do they have like
Oh,
those
God,
beads
they're
in
so
them?
soft.
Oh, they're so soft. Like, look at him. Oh, his butt is so soft. And then he has like hair. And then some of them have this like fuzzy belly type thing.
Aw.
And they're squishy. They're so squishy. They're like memory foam almost.
See,
awesome.
for the fifth wheel with Squishmallows, oh, that was my favorite
Oh my
she
god,
has.
I love that one
These-
so much.
These are a perfect size for pillows. Like I used this one for my pillow for a while. My husband has an avocado toast one that he uses. Luna, my
Yeah, the pets use the big ones.
pets love them.
Pets amazing.
Love them. I have one on the couch. I mean, when she was staying with us for a while, she had a giant one that was on our couch, and my dog fell in love with it. And now we have to have one on the couch for her. And she perches on it and lays on it and just loves it. It's like a glorified beanbag. But I paid an ass load of money for specialty pillows, right? Like, I paid for the purple pillow. I did research on neck pillows. Ever since the car accident, I've had really bad chronic neck pain. And we've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on specialty pillows, did our research and everything. I got super stoned one night. If you're the parent of one of my child's clients, no, I didn't. But I got super stoned one night.
It's legal where you are, right?
It is legal. It is legal. But I got super stoned and fell asleep on one of the Squishmallows. And this was after weeks of going to physical therapy, going to chiropractors, getting massages, all of that fun stuff. And I was just absolutely miserable. And you can ask Amber, she had to hear my misery all the time. But I fell asleep on the Squishmallow, woke up, no neck pain. I'm like, what the fuck? No pain. Like, maybe it was chance. That same day, my husband, stoned, fell asleep on the Squishmallow, woke up, and he's like, holy shit, this Squishmallow, man. I have no neck pain. I'm like, right? I have a beater. And he's like, can you get me one? I'm like, wait, you want a Squishmallow? He's like, yeah. Can you get me one? One that's like good for a pillow. Now he keeps coming home with random ones just because.
That's awesome.
And we have Squishmallows in every one of our rooms. And we've had guests come over and they like kind of walk up to the room, to my bedroom, and they're like, do you have any more Squishmallows that I can lean on the couch? I'm like, hell yeah. And they'll leave my room with like arms full of Squishmallows. This is comfortable. But I recommend them for anyone who's neurodivergent as well. Like, they are so squishy. They come in really tiny sizes too. Like, I have all of the sizes. But this one's
there's a devil one. Oh my gosh.
I ordered it.
There's a bat one.
It's a bad one. I ordered it.
Yes, I want the Halloween one so bad.
It's a burrito.
Oh my gosh. That is so
It's
cute.
like shiny and sparkly. But they have these tiny sizes at Costco too. Like, this one's perfect for sticking in your purse. I love fidgeting with him. Like, they're super soft and squishy. You can also maybe spray with like a favorite perfume and smell it. You can put them in the washer on like delicate with, I use Dr. Bronner's to wash these, and then dry on low, no heat at all. And you can get them nice and
Well, I've been cleaning mine wrong.
Well, I live with Luna. You've met Luna. Luna's disgusting. So
Yeah, not sponsored, but should be sponsored by Squishmallow. Absolutely. 100%.
for sure.
For
sure.
Well, I know what I'm getting. So my 8-year-old's birthday is in 10 days, and I know what I'm getting him now. What did he ask
I think I
for? He
froze.
asked for a shotgun Nerf gun. What is he
Oh,
getting?
no.
A squishy pillow.
You should. You absolutely should.
He loves pillows. He sleeps with, like, I'm not exaggerating, 5 blankets on his bed. And he makes himself like this little nest. And he just sleeps in all of these blankets.
It's so comfortable.
Yes.
I got a pregnancy pillow. I'm not pregnant.
Yes.
But it is comfortable as hell. Like, oh, what was that? That was weird.
I don't know.
I lost connection for some reason.
Okay.
Oh.
But it was a pregnancy pillow, and then I have all my squishmallows behind it. Like, I have a mountain of squishmallows, and the dogs will lay on them too. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
I told you, as soon as I take mine back, you're just going to have more space to fill up.
And that's exactly what's happening. Bet.
Yes, So Cora says get him the Nerf gun too. Don't worry, because I sent his wish list to my mom, who will share it with my dad, who will pick the shotgun Nerf gun to get him.
Oh, see, I would come in
Can almost
like with the
guarantee.
Nerf gun, like the full like bullet setup. Like I would come in with a whole like war arsenal
Yes.
of Nerf stuff.
Yeah.
Bet.
He's already got so many Nerf guns and so many bullets, though, which is why I'm like, not one more. So the rest of the things on his list, one of them was a bike. He said the Nerf gun, the bike.
Bike's fun.
Let's see. All right. Adventure Force double fire break action Nerf gun shotgun. That's the
Oddly
that's the
specific.
thing. It reminds me of the Christmas Story.
Right.
Yes. It wants the Red Rider. Yes, absolutely. And then the next one is Nerf bullets. And then, and this is a direct quote, a good microscope, not a toy one where you just see light. Like, so specific. The next one is rainbow or purple bath bombs, because he loves bath bombs. Yes.
Okay.
Crystal growing kits. He really likes that.
Okay.
A lava lamp and a
Sounds like my
slingshot.
Christmas wish list.
I know. It's a good list, but that one, like, the
I want a lava
specific
lamp.
things are just so fun.
I would totally love a lava lamp.
Yes.
You know the one thing that I
Now
want?
he needs
I'm sorry, I don't
some-
mean to.
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, there's a lava lamp that you can get. It's like a floor lamp. And it has a lava lamp in the middle of it, and it's amazing, and I've always wanted to find one.
Okay, hold on. I gotta Google that. Lava
Right.
lamp.
I don't even know if you can still get it. I just know that I used to have a friend that had one, and it was the most amazing thing she owned in her room.
I need to find. Oh shit, that's cool.
There's a massive one.
Yeah.
All lava lamp, like with the green, and it's just from floor to like halfway up the wall.
They have one like that, and then they have one that's like
I do like that, but that's not what it was. It was just like a normal floor lamp, like one of those ones that points at the ceiling. But it had just in the middle of the pole, it was just a lava lamp.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. I see what you're talking
I
about.
got it.
Yeah.
I got it. That one. There you go.
It looks like a bong.
It does look like a bomb. I would smoke out of that. I totally would.
Oh,
But there's also
that's
not a lot of
amazing.
things I wouldn't smoke out of. I've made a piece out of an egg. A raw ass egg. When there's
Why would you
no
do
egg
that
away.
to yourself?
I was desperate, man. I was desperate.
This is
I've also
amazing.
made a joint out of a CVS receipt. Desperate times call for desperate measures.
I mean,
man.
those are so long. You could probably make 1,000 joints out of a single receipt.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Facts. Facts.
Okay, well, we got a little off base there.
I'm sorry.
No. Look, we're all about distractions. I think I might still have a command for that. Hold on. No, I guess I don't. I guess I don't have it anymore. I used to have a distracted command where it would pop up a bunch of little diamonds on the screen.
I love that.
Because I get distracted so often. It's fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. So, do you recommend specifically scheduling time outside the space together? And then do you recommend scheduling time apart? And what's the balance there?
Oh, absolutely. This has been the most pivotal thing that I've done for my relationship. I mean, speaking of mental health and neurodivergency, I mean, about 25% of the population is neurodivergent, and that's only for the ones that are reported. So for me, it's absolutely key to not feel like roommates. In order to, we need to have dinner out or the movies. Our thing is going out. So we try to do that at least once a month. At least once a month. And we'll alternate too of like who covers, or we'll split it as well. But time apart, that is something we've leaned into more, especially since he's home more. Because his last job, it did not pay his worth, and he had to Uber in addition to that. So there'd be long days where I wouldn't see him until way later. And with my back, I couldn't join him, unfortunately. So now that I see him all the time, I'm like, get out of my face. I need my me time. But sometimes that's essential. Like, I'll go and get my nails done, or I'll go and get my hair done, and he goes and gets his beard done, or he will level up on some games. And it's really, really key to have our own time and to have time together. For me, I try to have at least one day on the weekends. I noticed if we don't have any us time, at least once on the weekends, we get really pissy with each other and we start feeling really disconnected. So for us, we try to do it at least one day a weekend, not necessarily like going out for dinner, but we like trying something new. Whether it be like a new game we download, or whether it be cooking together at home, we like adding in that spontaneity. Otherwise, we both get really bored and we start taking that on each other.
Yeah. See, for us, it was more along the line, like we would go, because we were in the mountains and there was no real like grocery stores. Once a week, we would go down and we would just find a random place to go out to eat, to try for just a random spontaneous spot with good ratings. And we found some of the best restaurants around. Like but you have to have just alone time.
Yeah.
For us, it was my husband was out of the house 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. most days. So I had a lot of free time to myself. So
Talking about like,
and then we can just be in the same
morning.
room.
I'm not a morning person. I don't know how y'all or your partners did it. Like, no, thank you.
I don't know how we got through it. I'm not a morning.
We both hated it.
I can imagine.
We can be in the same room and be fine, but don't ask us to get up really early in the morning.
Can confirm.
That's no, I can't do it. It's too early. All of it's too early. So y'all talked a little bit about like, you go get your nails done and that kind of thing. What's the importance of allowing space for independent self-care? And when you're living in a small space, is there a point where saying like, I need self-care in this manner or that manner, is there a point where that becomes selfish in a small space?
Hey, self-care. We're up in my neck of the woods. I've literally been exploring self-care all day long in session.
That's awesome.
But it really is. It really is important, though, to allow space for independent self-care. I mean, especially if you're all up in each other's space, in a tiny, tiny little space, it's really important. And what helped me was having a self-care bucket. Now, this is not shameless self-promotion, but having something like a self-care bucket is absolutely essential. If you don't know how to create one, feel free to check out my website, happylittlebrains.com, under blogs. You can create one for like $20. The dollar section of Target's amazing, Family Dollar. But having a little box that you can take with you or is easily portable, especially in a tiny space, is going to be key. And my independent self-care is video games. I play video games. I try to play video games all day long now with Bestie, without my partner. But that's helpful because both of our husbands are working all day long. So it gives us the chance to have some girl time, which some girls will get their nails done. We murder things. To each their own. But to the other part of the question, is there a point where self-care becomes selfish when living in a tiny place? I mean, from a clinician standpoint, it's important to make sure that it's not escapism. When it becomes escapism, that's when I would argue it becomes selfish. When you're using it to avoid your partner, when you're using it to avoid your responsibilities at home, then yes, it becomes selfish because it's being done for intrinsic motivation rather than something that will help the relationship or help you guys as a whole. But yeah, when it becomes avoidance, when it becomes to the point where you're neglecting your relationship, like you're going out so much, you're not really paying attention to the time spent together. I mean, there is a healthy balance. And I love my me time. I love being alone. There was a time when I didn't like that. When living at home alone in a small space while he worked all day, it was hard. Working from home is hard. There's moments where you feel lonely. There definitely is, especially since I don't have colleagues. I don't go into the office. I do private practice. It's me, myself, and I. So that independent self-care became essential to not sit and marinate and wallow in those feelings of loneliness. So I like diversifying my time, whether it be getting some chores done or, again, the ones I want to do, damn it. Or if it's, playing video games with Amber, or if it's doing things that I normally wouldn't do if he's home. Like, I'll binge watch all my RuPaul and all of my, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Try Guys and Ned Fulmer, but I went balls deep into those Reddits and Twitters and everything. And that's when I do my heavy social media intake, all the things that I normally wouldn't do if he's home. Like, I don't like being on my phone when he's home. I like giving him that attention. But that's my time to unapologetically binge the shit out of things I normally wouldn't do. So the importance of allowing space for that, absolutely essential for your sanity. Absolutely.
Yeah. See, well, in a smaller space, it's more, especially with like 200 square feet, as I've already said, everything overlaps. So sooner or later, it just automatically becomes really selfish from either side. Like, it's so easy for it to happen because you stop moving around, you stick in your one little space, because he had his computer with this computer chair and I had my chair with my desk and my laptop, and I ended up moving up on the bed in the front. So then there was that space, as I said before, but it was easy to feel like the other person was being really selfish about things, just in general. If you really had to take into consideration how the other half felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, communicating that back is important too. Like, if you're feeling like the other person's being selfish, make sure you're talking about it, because there is a point where the other person might just not realize that they're offending you, or that they're, you're feeling neglected. So you got to communicate that kind of stuff. I did post the link to the blog with the Making a Self-Care Kit on your website. So I grabbed that really quick and put it in the chat. So if anybody's looking to do that, just click on that link, and it's available for you. So small spaces mean that there's not much room for anything, including customization. But it also means that the customizations have a bigger impact. I keep talking about everything small is suddenly big. Did y'all ever disagree with the look and feel of your home? I mean, Jessica, you've got lots of very unique decorations, and your partners.
No, actually, and that's probably because our relationship was founded on visual and performing arts. If you listen to past episodes, we are definitely a concert couple. We are a concert show couple. Majority of our relationship was built on music. Most of our dates, we started off as best friends with benefits. For several years, I've actually known him since high school. His ex would gum on my seat every single day. And she knew I wanted his nuts, and she wasn't wrong. But it wasn't until after high school that we reconnected. But we really connected on going to Guitar Center and things like that. So we had a lot of very similar interests, especially when it comes to artwork, and especially when it comes to different designs. But I think that comes from us being able to communicate. I mean, if you start off as best friends with benefits, and a majority of your interactions are in the bedroom, you're going to have to communicate. Communication is very key. At that time, I was also doing BDSM professionally. So there was a lot of conversations surrounding that. So we were able to get to know each other on that level. So we never really ran into problems with disagreements about the look and feel because we have discussions well in advance. And I think that's key of being like, hey, I want to get this. What do you think? That I've done that with all the spaces, but also because my partner has never had his own room to this day. He has never had his own bedroom. He's always shared a bedroom with his sister growing up. Then he moved out with me, and he's never had like his own space. I swear, one of my goals is to get a house big enough for him to have like his man cave. Like, I will build that thing for him. I'm gonna have Nick come on.
You can borrow mine.
I'll borrow hers. But like straight up, he even helped me curate this because this is going to be our nursery for when we try. So we agreed on this aesthetic. We're going for kind of fairyland nursery, like woodland aesthetic. But we have this really fucking cool hallway. I wish I had my phone with me. It's charging in the room. But we have a cool hallway that has all the art that we curated. So decorating our home has also become a way for us to get closer. Like when we were at WonderCon, we would walk up and down the aisles and be like, oh, what do we want to get for home? And we're able to pick artwork together. And we have a whole wall. Like my favorite one is Maury sitting with the paper results and Darth Vader just going like this. It's great. And we have all sorts of artwork like that. So
that's
the
amazing.
Hallway from our bedroom to our in-bedroom bathroom is just lined with all of our artwork. And my husband's idea for our guest bathroom, we have this really, really cool desert, like realistic desert shower curtain with a chemistry periodic table and little geodes, and then a little beaker with some blue glass in it.
That's amazing.
So total Breaking Bad theme, and that was his idea. So it's just nice to have a curated space where it's not just all my influences, all his influences. And my favorite thing, a lot of the smaller spaces are usually like apartments or things that you can't like drill into. I live by command strips.
Yes.
Like live by it. Don't get those little squares. Do not get the squares. Get the strips, the ones that have the little tabby. The squares will not come off. And if you try to use goof off on it, you will take paint off your walls. Learn from my mistakes. But
I wonder if Dawn Power Wash would get them off.
Oh, I should try it. I don't know why I didn't try that. Usually I'm the one who's like, I wonder if it'll work, and then I end up screwing up all my stuff. But I swear by command strips. Like that's how I've decorated all of this. Peel stickers, like the ones for car windows, work pretty well. But all of these are like reusable peely stickers that come right off. You can do a lot with a little, like battery operated lights, solar lights I have on my balcony. Like it doesn't take a lot to make your place look nice and feel like home.
Is it similar for y'all, Amber? Do you have a very defined and shared way that you like for things to look and feel?
For us, it's just comfort. In a fifth wheel, you don't have the walls to hang things.
Yeah.
So like you can do a lot of customizing. There's a lot of ways you can do customizing, but just not the way you would do in a normal house. Like it would be more of like the furniture. Like we ended up pulling out the entire couch that was like built in. And I got myself, I believe, I don't know how to say it. It's like a Papasan chair or whatever, this big circle ones. And that was my chair. And like you get like the little throw pillows and stuff. And it's so easy to make anything feel like home. As long as it feels like home, like we're good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But he and I have very similar styles. So
that's what I love about our partners. Like both you and your husband, both mine and myself, like thankfully, I think that works really well when you have similar styles.
Yeah, and then the other thing is you don't need as much. Like you can customize just about everything. It's just less things. Instead of getting like 8 strings of Christmas lights, you just need one.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah. Well, coming from a relationship where we did not have necessarily similar styles, I can tell you that this sounds like a dream. But I mean,
that's great.
Now with just me, like it was a dream picking out everything in this house is exactly the way that I want it. Like it is perfect. It is how I wanted it. And the flooring that I have in the kitchen, A lot of people, whenever I pick it up this morning, they're like, oh, it's going to look terrible. It's going to look terrible. My ex saw it the first time. He's like, this is ugly. I was like, yeah, well, I like it. So there are secret cats in the flooring of my kitchen. So
I love that.
You have to find them, but they're there. And I think it looks great. And once it was in, everyone except for my ex said, actually, yeah, that does look really good in this space. So
ex is trash.
He's just, yes, right. And just whatever. But everything, I walk into every room in this house and I'm just like, this is the color that I wanted. This purple in this room is the color that I wanted. The blue in the living room is the blue that I wanted. Like everything is just how, yes. So if you have someone where you have that shared what you like and what you want things to look like, it's just so much easier. So much easier.
Absolutely.
Do y'all feel like couples who live in tight quarters have benefits that couples who live in larger spaces might not?
Mama, you keep cutting in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me wiggle some cords here, see if that helps.
There you go.
Do you feel that couples who live in tight quarters have benefits that couples who live in larger spaces might not?
Yes and no. I mean, the benefits of larger spaces is storage.
Yeah.
I love storage. Storage is amazing. But I would say living in tight quarters, like Amber said, it's the lessons learned. Like I've learned how to downsize. I've learned to make use of what I have. I've learned to communicate with my spouse and to problem solve creatively and get things to work the way that I need them to. It also got me closer to Amber because she was able to help me downsize when I really needed to. And it was amazing. It helped a lot. So I think we do have benefits. Like you're able to get a lot closer. There's a lot more intimacy because you have to.
Yeah. For us, it was really the understanding and patience that we had to give each other. Because, yeah, learning patience was key. Because it's so easy to get angry. But you have to learn how to take that breath and just kind of like, okay, like as you guys were saying earlier, we need a second. But Nick and I don't believe that it's right for everyone.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
You're gonna fight. Like you're going to fight. You're gonna have disagreement. So I mean, the key, if I had to give any advice, go to therapy. I'm accepting clients, but jokes aside, definitely learn how to communicate. Like know yours and your partner's communication styles. Figure the messiness out. How you're going to communicate grievances. Like my partner and I, we can't text when we're pissed off. I'll block his ass. I know it's unhealthy, but I've straight up blocked him and whatnot. But sometimes that's what I need. And then I call her and I bet. But having a go-to of like, okay, this is how we're going to communicate. Like he's like, you know what? We're not going to text. I'll call you, or we can talk about it when we get home. Because both of us suck ass at communicating via text. So it's having, especially if your partner is not going to be home all day long, like, you know, Amber and Nick and myself and my partner, it's knowing how you're going to communicate during those times. And if there's a disagreement, are you going to talk about it immediately? Are you going to have a sit down? Like what is the game plan? Knowing how you're going to navigate that is key.
Yeah. And therapy, I mean, if you're interested in learning more about the different types of couples therapy and what might work or not work for you, look for a couple weeks ago. You can find it on tacosfallapart.org. There is there is an interview with Carissa Latiliad, where we talked about
her.
Yes, we talked about different types of couples therapy. So go on there, look for previous guest appearances, and you'll find that one, and you'll be able to watch the VOD and see what kind is for you.
Topic.
Yeah.
Look, you know now. For context, for those listening, Carissa is also on my podcast, If the Couch Could Speak, which is a podcast with a bunch of clinicians. Right now, it's 4 wonderful ladies. Mama, come back. But
come back anytime you want me to. You know that.
Anytime you want to come, please, yes, come. But we basically shoot the shit on therapy. And we also just did a podcast that was released today talking about the difference between LMHC, licensed marriage. What the hell does the H stand for? I'm sorry, Christy. I know you're listening to this. I know we literally just explored this. But licensed mental health counselor. Jesus, it was right there. But licensed marriage and family. I don't even know my acronyms. Wow, words are hard. Licensed marriage and family therapist. We talked about what's the difference between all the different letters, all the different acronyms. But seriously, go to therapy. Honestly, if you're not down to go to therapy, get a bestie who's a therapist. No, I'm not a
Best idea ever.
That is my bestie slots are filled. But no, seriously, it's figuring out your shit, figuring out your problem, knowing your triggers and knowing your pain points before they come up. It's huge. Huge.
Yeah, and the other person's.
Oh yeah. And the other person's, for sure. Forgot about that. But,
both sides. Gotta have both sides.
super fun.
So normally I ask, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing instead? But I want to ask it a little bit differently. If y'all hadn't lived in small spaces, where do you think you would be today instead? If y'all hadn't had the experience of living in those small spaces.
I don't know, because I had to move back in with my parents when I was doing my practicum. I was unpaid for 2 years. I did my time. But I wouldn't have had the freedom of not paying rent in order to do that work unpaid. And I would still be at my parents', so my sanity would be gone. That's an interesting question. I can't tell you the question of what I would be doing instead. But in the answer to that one, forensic psychologist. That Jeffrey Dahmer shit. The people who interview, 1000% would be
yes.
me. But I'd also be the weirdo who'd be eating like a burger and fries while they're talking about cannibalism. Like, no problem. Yeah, I wouldn't have the patience that I do.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I wouldn't know how to work with people living with each other. I mean, like with Amber, with that situation with Basic, I mean, that was some fuckery, but I had those innate skills for a very sudden, unexpected time where she was staying with us for a time being, and having those communication skills and having that game plan of what each day would look like, what that structure would look like was key. So had I not lived in a small space, I don't think I would have been able to navigate that as well.
Yeah. Amber, any thoughts on where you might be?
Well, for us, like, we actually did end up doing the reset because we were in the fifth wheel, so we had the opportunity to do so because he was a carpenter. Mm-hmm. And we had actually just recently before after buying the fifth wheel, we had looked into a house. I don't know, Jess, if you remember that.
I love that house. I love the one thing.
Oh, so pretty.
I'm still mad about that whole situation, but
well, my husband would still be a carpenter, and he did like a complete switch in his profession. So he was actually able to reset his profession and go a different direction instead of continuing on that path.
What was that light? That is amazing.
That was a follower on Twitch. Thank you for that follow. I forgot to disable the lights.
That's amazing.
Normally before the streams, I disable the lights. I forgot this time.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, so you can also do. I can help you set that up if you would like.
Oh my god, yes, please.
You can also do things like rainbow, since I know they're on.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Is that your background or the lights behind you?
No, it's my overhead light.
Oh.
So I have a fan light combo, and the lights that I put in there are Philips Hue lights, and you just screw them in and connect them over Wi-Fi. And then you connect that with Lumia, which is an app that you can use on your computer while you're streaming to connect that to your Twitch chat. And then users can control your lights.
I love that. So the follower was Christy. Love you, Christy.
Yay!
She's also on If the Couch Could Speak. We have Sam as well, aka Not Another Therapist, on Instagram. So it's pretty nice. I love the inter-podcast support. I mean, we've had Mama on our podcast. I've been on hers quite a few times. Like it's really cool to kind of see that.
But
I love that.
Yeah, I normally disable before the interviews. At least I disable the lights, but I forgot this time and they're on.
Please keep it enabled. That is awesome.
If you want to change the light color, there's some of the commands. Because there's those commands, and then there's also Alpha likes to do one. I think it's just called police. Yes,
that is awesome.
So.
See, my stoned ass is like, fuck.
You need it, Jess.
I need that. But I saw the flashing red and blue lights and like instantly my amygdala activated. Like
uh-oh. But yeah, you can do it. You can get light strips to do it with. It doesn't have to be your overhead light. You can get light strips. There's I don't have any of them set up in here right now, but there's these little like lamps. They look, I don't know if I can pull this up. They look kind of like these, but they're Wi-Fi enabled. And like this one you can change the color of manually, but not.
Dude, I love color changing things.
Yes.
Like I'm using the perk of Bestie Hubs, aka Amber's husband. The perks of Bestie Hubs being in the job that he is. If you want to share, Amber, what he does.
It's just military IT.
Basically. But really, really cool shit. There's more to it that's way more badass. I don't know how much we're allowed to share. But really cool shit. Really cool shit.
That's awesome.
But I have his computer, which is cool. That's what I use for sessions. But like all the RGB stuff, like if you're neurodivergent as hell or you like pretty shiny things, get yourself an RGB keyboard. And I went on IQ and oh my God, which is a platform that you can like do like different like presets and stuff. Played for hours. I can make a little Halloween bat that flaps on my keyboard.
Did you do that and not show me?
I'm gonna send it to you. I have it saved. It's saved on his preset. So I saved that specifically for you. But they even have a little jack-o'-lantern one. Jack-o'-lantern. I'm amused.
Christy said, I don't think we could do that on our podcast. You'd get too distracted.
Yeah, I would 1000% get distracted. Our podcast is like the place for getting distracted. But.
Yes, I did find the command, by the way, that I have. It's, instead of distracted, it's sidetracked. And whenever you do it, it just, oh no, it didn't do it. It just put out the, all right, well, it used to put out the little fox with the diamond. This one. It used to put this one out a whole bunch. Oh, okay. So we'll get to the magic moment question, and I'm gonna get one more pretty light thing. This is my magic wand.
Oh, yes!
Yay! So we've reached the magic moment of the stream. So I'm gonna wave this magic wand, and you guys each get to eliminate one common opinion, misconception, or theory or surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health. So y'all think about what that's going to be, and I will wave this little magic wand and turn it over to you.
You're cutting in and out again, Mama.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I wonder why that's happening. I don't know why that's happening, because I have not touched anything except for this, which is not connected to anything.
That's so weird. That's so weird. But I did get your question to the magic wand.
Yes,
I have one. Mine's a little different because I've answered this question quite a few times. So I would actually highlight something. And it's something that I've been exploring on my own, a theory that I had that actually got confirmed, which was really, really cool. But my theory was that a lot of the personality disorders like autism, or not autism, like borderline personality disorder, antisocial, that it really is autism mixed with fucked up attachment from the primary caregivers, but it's based on the type of disattachment. Like we saw with Dahmer, where he had borderline personality disorder, and we saw that he had the support from his father, but you also had the tumultuous dynamics with his mother as well, or his push pull, push pull, push pull. So it makes sense why he took that on as borderline personality disorder. I would argue that there's also antisocial personality disorder, but my theory was that with those who are serial killers, a lot of them were autistic in the sense that they're not able to pick up on social cues as much, or they had the hyperfixations of morbidity, of hurting animals and whatnot. So it was really interesting to see the correlation of the pathology. I mean, my original theory was that borderline personality disorder is typically autism mixed with severe complex trauma and trying to exert control when you felt like you had no control, which is a huge hallmark of both autism and PTSD. And turns out that theory was actually spot on because there's research behind it proving it. So I was like, oh shit, that's cool. But I would want to highlight that because a lot of therapists, a lot of clinicians, a lot of people in our field tend to pigeonhole a lot of the diagnoses of autism is this, PTSD is this, personality disorders are this, but it's way more nuanced than that. And anxiety has a lot to play in a lot of different disorders. Same with attachment and same with neurodivergency. So failing to look at that is really doing a disservice to clients and to society as a whole. And if there's a lot of conversations surrounding serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer with mental health, it's important to look at that too. I'm not saying, yes, I love serial killers, but I'm not saying that I'm justifying what they did in any way, but more so trying to provide a lens behind the why of how sometimes people get to that point. And the question is also begged of, is it genetics or could it have been prevented had there have been someone who noticed those deficits, who noticed those hyperfixations and redirected it in a healthier way? Like for me, stabbing things is one of my fixations. So I get tattoos instead. Right, where I get stabbed 1,000,000 times by a needle. Or I carve pumpkins this time of year. So it's directing that hyperfixation to something healthier. That's why I wanted to go into that side of forensic psychology of really navigating that. But that's what I would, I guess, eliminate a common misconception of the understanding of the pathology behind that.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I think that's a great one. Amber, is there anything that you would eliminate?
Just in general, I feel like a lot of, personally, my issues come from anxiety. So we would definitely throw that one away.
I like that. Just get rid of it. Bye. See ya.
Just get rid
Never
of it.
again.
Gone.
Adios.
Be out of a job.
So much would be better.
Right. And I kind of like working. So if we could keep just a little bit. Just enough.
Oh, true. Yes. No.
So
It'll never go away. You're good.
No, that's what you got me for. We can kill people in Borderlands. It's all good.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to open it up. If there's anything that we didn't talk about that y'all want to cover, folks who are in chat, if there's anything that you want to ask that you didn't get to ask, feel free to pop it into the chat. But if there's anything that you want to talk about, projects going on, websites you like or love or anything, feel free to throw it out there.
Well, Amber and I are currently working on a project where we're reviewing video games and talking about it as a consumer and as a clinician, and talking about like doing different little ratings and badges and stuff like that. So that's kind of our ongoing thing. I mean, I have the project or the podcast too. That's all I have going on. I'm doing, should also add for businesses that are listening, I am doing EAPs, and which are employee assistant programs. That's typically 3 to 15 sessions where it's a lot of surface level stuff. I call it the Costco sample of therapy, where you get kind of a taste of therapy. And usually that's how I hook you. But it's nice to at least get an insight of the things that you can explore in therapy. And some people are like, well, I thought I have to be like jacked up to go to therapy. No, you can benefit from a third opinion, from an outside perspective. And what I like to say is the people who go to therapy to learn how to cope with the people who refuse to go to therapy, but absolutely need it. AKA 99% of this world's population, let's be real. But yeah, I think I'm doing EAP, I'm doing comms, which are basically giant, typically sexual abuse class action settlements against major entities. Not going to name them, but a lot of times like foster homes, things like that. But basically, if the abuse happened a long time ago and you're over the age of 40, at least in California, you can get what's called a certificate of merit, where you are assessed by a clinician and they say, yeah, there's merit behind these claims. Go ahead and proceed. So I'm doing that as well. So if you are a law firm or a business and need a clinician to hop in and help you out with that, I am taking those contracts. Hire me.
Awesome. Well, I put out the link. I put out the link for your podcast also on the main website. So if there are any other websites that you want me to put in the chat, feel free and just let me know.
I'll let them. I'll let the website.
Amber, anything you want to talk about we didn't cover, or things that resources, websites, anything like that?
Not really.
I know there's one topic I can think of is I know you have 2 fur demons, maybe less demons than my tiny little fur demons.
I have the queen and the princess.
You have the queen and the princess, like straight up 2 little divas. JoJo is the cutest little queen. You can see her on the picture. She is our adorable old lady. She'll like jump in your arms and chirp at you and is the cutest little thing. But I would love to kind of hear a bit about living with pets in a small space, especially 2 pets.
Oh,
Any tips for that?
How did you do that?
Well, we were up in the mountains, so we had like every day when you would go out, there would be stuff like deer, and at one point, my dog went after a bear. So,
Jojo went after a bear?
JoJo went after a bear. I told her to sit. I left the door open. I was like, you stay right there. It was pitch black out. And I was actually told this later by my husband and his grandpa that it was a bear because I didn't know. I just saw her come running around the corner and she's barking. And I looked down and about 3 feet in front of me is a giant, well, not giant, but it's a really big little black mass.
Oh, no.
And I guess we had bears that were all the way out over by the freeway.
See, that's something Luna would do. I could not see JoJo trying to face off with a bear.
Oh, she'll go after the deer. She goes after everything. She's like, you are not welcome here.
She is a fierce little dog. She's adorable.
Oh, my goodness. But we did end up with, like, mice is a big thing. So we got our cat, who is a Maine Coon mix. She's huge. She likes to... We call it WWE because she picks the dog up by the neck and just slams her down head first. Terrible. But we got her simply for the mouse problem. Like everyone had a job in the home. Mm-hmm. And we just had one of those floor to ceiling cat trees for her in one of the corners. And Joe is just always with me. So, I mean... You've seen it. There's not much else to it. Like,
our shadows.
We're just a really chill family. Like none of us are high maintenance. We just like to chill and relax. Like as long as we have that, we're good. Mm-hmm. So.
I would say I'll tell my sister to get a cat, but there's no way because their fifth wheel is on my parents' property, and not only does my sister have a pit bull that's living with them in the fifth wheel, my parents have a pit bull also.
Oh my goodness.
And I have nothing against pit bulls. Love pit bulls. They're wonderful. Both those dogs are wonderful, wonderful. But they will chase anything. Their prey drive is like off the charts. Both of them. There are so many squirrels there that are like under threat of death constantly.
Oh yeah, that's my household too. Luna is straight up chaos. And every day I have to tell her not to kill the squirrel or not to kill the kitties. She wants to eat them.
Yep.
Chaos.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time tonight. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And I loved it very much. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time, for dealing with my mic cutting in and out because I don't know what's going on with it. I have no idea why it would do that. I literally haven't touched anything related to it.
Hey, Mama, am I officially the one who has been on here the most amount of times?
I think so, because this is your 4th time?
I want to say 4th or 5th. It's been quite a few. So.
I think this puts you ahead of Jack Birkenstock, who you were tied with last time because he was a 3-peater. And you were a 3-peater. And so now I think that you're at 4, and that puts you ahead. I'm going to have to tell him.
I win. Not that it's a competition, but it's totally a competition.
It is now.
Well, anytime you want us back, feel free. Let me know. Like, same with our podcast. We would love to have you.
I'm willing to come back anytime. 100%. I hope our discussion on staying sane while living with partners in small spaces has provided you with inspiration and encouragement to create a space that nurtures both your relationship and your individual well-being. Remember, maintaining a healthy relationship in a confined space requires open communication, understanding, and a touch of creativity. By setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and communicating your needs, you can navigate the challenges and find a sense of balance and happiness in your shared living arrangement. I want to extend my gratitude to our wonderful guests today for sharing their expertise and experiences, to Bite Mark specifically for requesting this topic, and to you, our listeners, for joining me on this journey. If you have any comments or feedback, I would love to hear from you. So feel free to share your thoughts and experiences with me on social media or through our website, tacosfallapart.org. And if you found this episode helpful, please consider leaving a review or rating on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us reach more people. Don't forget to tune in to our next episode, where we will continue exploring various aspects of mental health, resilience, and personal growth. Until then, remember that even in the smallest of spaces, there's always room for love, understanding, and tacos. Thank you for listening to Even Tacos Fall Apart. Stay well, stay connected, and stay tuned for more insightful conversations on mental health.